Here's a behind the scenes look, because in today's video, we're going behind the screen. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm gonna help you lower that DC in your game by taking that Dungeon Master screen and adding some cool stuff. Whoa. But one very important thing that you need to have before you can do this is an actual DM screen itself. But since these are the only two Dungeon Master screens I've ever used, I'm calling in an expert.
Hey Dungeon Coach fans, my name is Matthew Perkins, and on my channel I am reviewing every Dungeon Masters screen that's been officially released. Come along and find out which ones are worth your money and which ones aren't. After this video, of course, this is a good video you're watching right now.
So me and Matthew are collaborating on this topic. So definitely go check him out. He has a great sense of humor and some next level content. Links will be down in the description. Somehow he's got his hands on every single Dungeon Master screen ever released. It was really cool to see what's on them and what's behind them. And speaking of what's behind the screen, I already did a full video linked right here of the top 20 things to put behind your Dungeon Master screen. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the review of the Masters Tome and exactly what's behind my screen. So full transparency, I am not sponsored in any way by the Masters Tome in this video, but that would be pretty cool if they wanted to. I'm going to use the same 5-point system that Matthew Perkins did. You get 1 point for the cover and 1 point for each panel. So as far as art goes, it doesn't have much art, but it's pretty clean. Nothing too distracting here, but what you can do, you can actually take these out and remove them. Come on. Get. And put anything in here you want. And the same thing's true for the back. All of these panels are also interchangeable. So based on the pure fact that everything in here is interchangeable, and if you don't like it, you can switch it out with something you do or put stuff over it like I have, I give it a 5 out of 5. And if you feel like that's cheating, I totally understand, but I will say the only drawback to this screen is it is a little tall. Compared to your standard screen, it is just a little bit taller, and that does bother me a little bit, so I'll give it a 4.9. But for me, honestly, the only thing I need on a DM screen, and pretty much all of them have it, is a list of all the status conditions. A lot of times the mechanics of those conditions can overlap and get confusing, so I like to have that there. I want my Dungeon Master screen to be a tool to make my life easier as a DM and give me lots of options. So many DMs out there have so much wasted space on their screen that could help them. Check yours right now, because you probably do too. But I'm here to make your life easier in just a few minutes to make a huge difference. The biggest thing I want to say before I get started is how my screen is set up. On the far left panel, I have creation type things of stuff I need to make up on the fly. The middle two panels are where I look for combat and any type of reminders I need for combat. And the far right panel are more lore-based things about the campaign or the players themselves. So while I'm DMing and one of these situations comes up, I know which place to look. And now it's time to take a look behind the screens. Man, that joke never gets old. So right here we got names, male and female names, and I've separated them from normal names and sketchy names. Guile is a sketchy name, Roz. Whereas a female non-sketchy name would be like Marissa or Summer. The card next to that is creating towns, whether it's just naming the town or the actual buildings within it. Posh names like Talestein and Argus, or more grungy towns like Black Hollow and Wolf's Brew. Your players are in a new town and they want to know what the blacksmith is? Here's some keywords to help me name a blacksmith place on the fly. I could use this anvil keyword and say Archer's Anvil or Wolf's Brew Anvil. These are basically just keywords to help me name these things on the fly, and it doesn't seem like I just made them up. If I feel the need to throw some loot at my players that I didn't see coming, these two cards right here to give spontaneous loot out to my players, whether it's magic or mundane. I have a video card right here of an entire video over these mundane items. And now this card is something cool. I asked Matthew Perkins what his one favorite thing is on the back of any of those Dungeon Master screens, and it was this. It's called Something Happens, and I made up a 1d10 chart to be able to roll on if things are going a little slow and you want to accelerate your plot. The full list will be down in the description, but if you roll a 1, someone who works for the BBEG attacks the group. 4 is somebody attempts to kidnap your party. 6 is they get ambushed. 8 is the suspicious person's following them. Are they good or bad? And if you roll a 10, instead of something happening with the BBEG, something happens with the GGGG, the giant great good guy. I have made up and patented that term, so make sure you reference me. So up here is a chart of NPC personalities. These is another D10 list that I make of NPCs on the fly. They have a generic personality or emotion and some unique quirk about them. If I rolled a 5, it'd be a very considerate person that's super kind, but they just can't sleep and they're an insomniac. Why are they insomniac? This leaves room for you to fill in the gaps. Of course, you have all the status effects here and your exhaustion stacks, because I can never remember these. This is a reminder for the help action that I have from the homebrew combat video I did, link right here. This is a reminder to remind me to freaking give out inspiration, because I always get too wrapped up in the moment and forget. This is also the proto mechanic that I talk about in that same video, and this is a chart for random enemy actions. You might not have seen this before, but if they encounter some random enemy, I might roll on this table to see what that enemy is doing in that moment. If it's a more intelligent creature, they could be patrolling or chasing a creature or whispering to each other or performing some sort of hobby of theirs. But if it's a more beast type creature, maybe it's nesting or grooming itself, sleeping, hunting around, who knows. This is my customized combat panel where I have reminders for myself, like killing blows when certain characters land a killing blow, what happens. One of my players also has a rage component that goes unstable with, different resistances to remind myself who's resistant to what. This final panel is all about the campaign and my players and usually out of combat type stuff. This might look familiar to anyone who's seen my travel roles video, link right here. Basically, it's a homebrew system of travel where each player can pick a role. You got navigator, scout, defender, and utility, but in this group they've added a handler role to keep track of the party's dog Spike, and a researcher role to read some books because they can't get enough of that lore. And this appears as a reminder of some homebrew rules that I gave my two twin warlock sisters. This is a huge chart for me as a DM where I can see all of my players' modifiers for different things. If the group's reading something in Dwarvish, I don't have to ask who can speak Dwarvish, I can just read and see who can or can't. This card is all the key NPCs from each of my players' backgrounds. So if Valdorian's mom comes up and I forget her mom's name, it's Astrid. Down here are reminders about secret things that happen during long rests. This card's specific towards one player. I have an Ancestral Guardian Barbarian that has different spirits that they can speak to, and these are all those voices in her head. This campaign's also had a heavy focus on demons and devils, so these are all the different curses that my players are currently being affected by. Now, my players don't know about this, but this is where I keep track of a hidden mechanic where two of my tiefling players are actually growing wings. And the last thing here are more reminders for things for me not to forget. And that's it. Of course, all these things change based on what campaign I'm running with what players. So there's your behind the screens look at my Dungeon Master screen, and hopefully how I organize it or customize it helps you out too. And the biggest thing that happens behind the scenes on this channel are my patrons. The support I get from you guys is what makes a lot of this possible. Not only making more videos, but better quality videos. With all the support, I've been able to have a new film room and better equipment to make and edit videos with. And to thank you guys, we're in the middle of a big Patreon only giveaway where I'm giving away over $200 worth of D&D stuff. All you gotta do is be a patron, and it ends in 2 weeks. So I hope this video collaboration with me and Matthew Perkins has helped you feel confident behind your screen. Make sure to go check him out on his channel, that's linked right here, and once you have that screen, hopefully this video has helped you customize it yourself. So until next time, stay creative and think outside that box. Peace. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm gonna help you lower that DC in your game by taking that Dungeon Master screen and adding some cool stuff. Whoa.